Living Romania.
Hi, I'm Ana Maria Popescu and you're now listening to Music Time. Today I'm going to introduce to you a young Romanian musician representing a genre that I have not covered in this segment before, namely hip-hop and the newer offsprings of this genre. His name is Mircea Enescu and he goes by the stage name Releveu, which is the Romanian word for ground survey. I invited Mircea to our studio and I asked him what came first, music or poetry.
First of all, it was the poetry, but it was poetry set to music. I started writing poetry when I was about 14, on a piece of instrumental music downloaded from the internet at that time. I continued with music, hip-hop more exactly, until about 20 or 21. And as time went by, I noticed that whatever I was writing would turn into poetry. So I started writing poetry on music. And to this day, music and poetry come to me together. It's just that the proportion is more poetry than music, than that kind of hip-hop that I was into several years ago. I'm turning to trip-hop, chill-hop, to a different branch of hip-hop. A kind of hip-hop for journeys, and by that I mean spiritual journeys, of course, because what I write comes from the soul and goes to the soul.
I talked
to Mircea about his sources of inspiration and he told me that he's primarily inspired by nature, but that human nature is also a major source of inspiration for him. And because I was puzzled about his stage name, which is a very technical term, a word which has everything to do with engineering and nothing to do with poetry, he explained.
This stage name has a long history. In fact, it has been with me ever since I first started writing poetry on hip-hop tracks at 14. I was attending a technical high school at that time, and one day I was asked to draw the outline of some component, what we called a survey. I didn't hand in the drawing when it was due, so this name kind of stuck. Later, it acquired several other meanings. At some point, I even said that I am in the business of soul surveying.
All of Mircea Enescu's pieces are written in Romanian.
I may be biased in this respect, but I think Romanian is the most poetic language in the world. I can understand why some people would say that this kind of music sounds better in English. It's simply because hip-hop started out in English. But this is precisely why I want to turn this American hip-hop into something Romanian, by bringing Romanian poetry into play. And in my opinion, well-written poetry, and properly recited, can convey its message irrespective of the language. I mean, listeners feel what that person intended to say, even if they don't speak that particular language.
At this point, I couldn't help throwing in a little challenge, both for my guest Mircea Enescu and for you, my listeners, to see if his theory holds water. I asked Mircea to tell us one of his poems, which is called You Used to Come in March, and now I'm asking those of you who are listening to it to get back to me and tell me if you get the feel of what his poem says, even though you don't understand the words.
Era de ajuns să vii ca să topești zăpada. Era de ajuns să fii ca să înflorească strada. Era de ajuns să plângi, umpleai lacuri adânci. Era de ajuns să ajungi să aduci soare pe stânci. Era de ajuns un zâmbet să aduci lumina în case. Era de ajuns un tunet să sară praf din ștrase. Un fulger de-al tău era de ajuns să lumineze stele. Era de ajuns să-mi pară rău ca să mă înveselești cu ele.
Mircea Enescu also told me about a recent international event in which he took part.
In December 2016, I took part in a slam poetry festival in Warsaw. My participation was facilitated by the Romanian Cultural Institute. Several countries were represented in this festival, including Hungary, the Czech Republic, Denmark, Portugal. It was a great experience and an experience that taught me a lot. I picked up various tricks from my colleagues from other countries, such as writing techniques, or how to use the tone and mode of words, how to combine words together, etc. We were part of the award ceremony for the participants in the slam poetry competition. Personally, I relied on Chopin. I set one of my poems called Autumn on Chopin's Spring.
I wrapped up my brief conversation with Mircea Enescu with a question about what he's currently working on and about his plans for the future.
Yes, I am currently working on a book. It will be called Don't Read This Too Late. And it will include prose, blank verse poems, and it will be a book about myself. I am basically taking myself as a reference or as an example of common, ordinary people. What happens to Mircea is actually what happens to regular people in Romania. My album came out last May. It's called Thanks and Sorry. The album includes pieces on society, on love, on nature. I am currently working on a new album. I'm thinking about calling it Porcelain. There will be probably 14 tracks that try to bring light where there is darkness, to give light to shadows and to all the dark corners.
That was my guest today, Mircea Enescu. I leave you with his piece Years to Come in March. I'm Ana Maria Popescu. Thanks for listening.
Era de ajuns